green pumpkin, watermelon candy, bubble gum, kitchen sink. How do you know what color to use and when to use it? We might as well ask the pros.
I keep it really simple.
What I try to do is I try to keep it real simple.
I try to keep it very basic. I try to keep it simple. Getting too dialed in on your colors, they can mess with your head.
Keep it very, very simple.
That's right. This special edition of Captain's Corner is coming to you from Eufaula, Alabama at the first stage of the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour. And even though I think I do a pretty good job of breaking it all down, I figured while I'm here, I might as well ask what the pros think about selecting color choices. What factors make them choose what colors and when and where they throw those colors. I'm breaking it down and simplifying it. And honestly, that's going to be a huge theme when it comes to color selection. Keep it simple. And with such a huge variety of colors out there, how do you know what's the best color for you to throw? It seems intimidating. It can be very confusing if you allow it to be. But I'm going to do what I do best, along with help from some MLF pros. We're going to break it down for you. We're going to simplify everything you need to know about color choices today on Captain's Corner. Now to me, color selection can be very simple. I think a lot of times we just overcomplicate it. There's just too many options, too many variables. So today I'm gonna break it all down for you. Explain how colors work, why those colors work, and help you decide on which colors are gonna be best for you in your current conditions. No matter what body of water you're on, there's certain conditions that dictate what colors are gonna work best. Knowing those different factors and how they work on color selection is really gonna help you pick what colors you should be throwing in that situation for those conditions. Without getting too scientific about this, the first thing you need to understand is what is color. Color is the reflection of light. Light comes in many waveforms, and certain colors appear because they reflect certain waveforms. There's a broad range of colors, going from the brightest and most reflective, being white, to black on the far end, which is the absolute absence of light because it reflects no light. Color is all about light. So now knowing that light and the amount of light is a great factor in what colors appear when and where, now we can break it down to certain categories that's really going to help you understand what colors are going to be best where you're fishing. The very first thing I look at when selecting colors is water clarity. How clear is the water? The clearer the water, the more it allows light to pass through it. The darker or muddier the water, the less the light can pass through it. Ultra clear water is lots of light, which means lots of color. Very dark, very stained water is very little light, which means little light, void of light, and black conditions. Water clarity is completely determined on how easily light can pass through it. So naturally, water clarity is going to go hand in hand with color selection. Ultra crystal clear water allows a lot of light to be able to pass through it. So naturally, the lightest, most reflective colors are probably going to do best inside of clear water. You're looking for colors like whites, translucent colors where the light can pass through them too, and very light natural colors. And because there's an abundance of light, anything that has a little reflective flake in it is going to really help out and stand out a little bit more in that clear water.
I'm Crochet, and I want to give you a little advice or let you know what I do to choose colors in certain situations. As that water clears up and gets more, you get more visibility in the water, I want to go down to more natural colors, more shad, and crawfish more lifelike colors.
Muddy, dark water allows very little light to pass through it. So light, reflective, and translucent colors are probably going to get lost because they don't have any light to make them stand out. Dark, muddy water is where you're going to need darker, bolder colors to form a contrast and help them stand out against the lack of light. It's more about creating a profile rather than color and reflecting that light. This is where I would turn to colors like black and blues, maybe dark June bugs, or even dark browns and oranges. Something that doesn't need a lot of light to reflect to be able to stand out. It creates a bold contrast against that dark background.
Hey, I'm Gerald Sport, Major League Fishing Pro. Don't overthink it. I think of color as more of a contrast, a profile, if it's dark or if it's transparent or if it's bright. And then I try to pick my colors based off of that. Don't overthink the minor details. Think about the basic color contrast, and then that way you can focus on, am I putting the right contrast in the right area to catch a bass?
Now, mid-level water clarity like stained or even tannic style waters, that tea color, rusty color water, it actually allows a fair amount of light in it still, but it has a darker color to it. This is where you need colors that maximize both aspects of the light spectrum. You want bolder, more solid colors, baits that are solid that don't really allow the light to pass through. That solid, bolder color is going to create a better contrast or profile in that stained, slightly darker water. But there's still a fair amount of light that passes through stained water and tea-colored water. You're looking for lighter, natural, but solid colors. Things like green pumpkin, light browns, light oranges, and even reds. And if they have a reflective flake inside of them, that's going to really help move that light around, get a little more attention, but still create a bold contrast in the slightly darker water. Next is weather. How much natural light is coming from above? If it's a bright, sunny day, there's an incredible amount of light available to be used. And it's going to amplify any color's effects in any water clarity. In ultra clear water on really bright sunny days, you may need to tone down just how reflective or bright of a color you choose. Too much color and too much flash on those bright sunny days in clear water can actually cause it to look a little less natural. It's a bit much when the sun is bright. This is where I turn to lighter, translucent colors without reflective flake in it. Things like watermelon seed, watermelon with black flakes in it, or salt and pepper, which is clear with black flakes in it. Colors that the light can pass through without reflecting too much back. In really muddy water, but the sun is really bright, even though that water doesn't allow a lot of light to pass through, when there's a lot of light outside, there's going to be a bit more reflection available because of all that abundant light. This is where a little flash or brightness might actually help. Selecting those dark colors with a little bright reflection in it, like red flake, or even splashes of bright chartreuse. I might as well amplify it with that little bit of light that's readily available. Now, overcast days or rainy days, there's a lot less light to go around. So fine-tune your color selection to colors that don't need as much of that light to be effective. In ultra clear water on a cloudy day, whites or very reflective flakes, or very bright colors like chartreuses, bubblegum pinks, colors that really stand out, may work very well in ultra clear water, but when there's very little light. In darker, muddier water on cloudy days, there's going to be zero light penetration. So there's no need to use any style of baits that are bright or reflective of light. They're just not going to get noticed at all. The darker the conditions, the less light, the darker the baits. Go with solid black or dark purples. It forms a big contrast against that dark water.
Hey guys, I'm Major League Fishing Pro Randall. You know, I get asked all the time about how to pick a color or what color should I be throwing. But I'm gonna tell you, the best color you could possibly have is the one you got the most confidence in. A fish isn't, oh, I'm not gonna eat it because that's purple or that's pink. Throw the color you got confidence in and you'll catch more fish.
Then I think about the depth I'm gonna be fishing. Obviously, the deeper you go, the less light is gonna be available to use. To me, I think about depth just like I think about water clarity. The deeper, the darker. The shallower, the lighter, and more natural. The mid-level depths, like 8 to 20 feet, I treat it just like stained water. There's a bit of light available, but it's still a bit darker. That's where you go with the solid, bolder, but more natural colors in that mid-level range of 8 to 20 feet deep. with a bit of reflective mixed in there to amplify what light is still available in that mid-range. Now, fishing zero depths like top water is very much like fishing clear water, but you need to keep in mind how much more dramatic the weather conditions are. Those fish are looking up right into all that light. If it's a bright sunny day, it's an abundance of light. Overcast, cloudy, or low light conditions, you need something that's going to contrast a little bit more. On those bright sunny days, fishing topwater, colors like whites, light blues, translucents, they get lost in that bright light when the fish is looking up. You may want to find something with a little bolder color on the belly of the bait, like a bright orange or even a red, something that's going to stand out against that bright sky a little bit more. Fishing topwater in low light conditions, darker colors, grayer colors can get lost in that sky as well. That's when you may want to switch it up and have things with white or reflective bellies to help amplify what light is available and make it stand out against the dark sky a lot better.
James, Worldwide Watson right here. Now, I'm only known for catching bass on topwater lures and nothing that goes, underneath the water. I keep it really simple. Most of fishing is really done between here and here. I don't complicate things when it comes to topwater fishing. On dark days, I'm all white. On sunny days like today, I'm all black, all right? They're gonna bite one or the other. So, black and white, topwater, nothing else.
And finally, the last factor that I look at is the forage. What is the readily available bait in the water you're fishing? If that lake is full of bluegill, but there's no shad, clearly you're going to want to choose colors that best imitate bluegill. And adjust the brightness and hue of those bluegill colors to the conditions we just went over. If shad is the main bait fish, then use shad colors. And fine-tune those shad colors to the water clarity, the weather conditions, and the depth you're fishing at. And of course, if they're feeding heavily on crayfish colors adjusted to those factors as well.
Hey everybody, Ott Defo here, 2019 Bassmaster Classic Champion. Picking the right color bait, whether that's a hard bait or soft bait, can be a hard decision. Number one, you want to know what those fish are eating. Crawfish, shad, bluegill, those things are in nearly every system we fish throughout the country. And as long as you're imitating one of those, and then it's a bait that's going to show up with the water conditions you've got, that's probably what you need to go with.
So there you have it. Now that you know the factors and how they affect colors, it should be easier to pick what color is going to be best for whatever conditions you're facing. But the greatest tip any one of us can give you when we're selecting colors and what's the best color to throw is to keep it simple. Because of the knowledge and confidence you learned by looking at the simple factors: water clarity, weather conditions, depth range, and the forage.
Hey fans, MLF Pro Brent Chapman here. If you go to a tackle store, it can be overwhelming the amount of colors out there. There's a whole bunch of them out there and it can get very intimidating. There's one thing I can tell you: the more I do this sport, the less colors I carry with me. Keep it very, very simple. Get you a handful of colors that you're confident in. When you find the fish, stick with your basic colors and you'll have good success.
Folks, I really hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned a little something. If you did, make sure you smash the heck out of that like button and leave a comment for me on anything else you'd like to see me film. I'll do my very best to make a video out of each and every one of those. But most importantly, subscribe to that channel and stay subscribed, because there's plenty more coming right here on KastKing.
Hope that helped you catch a few more fish.